It's crazy to me that even in a fantasy world, we just can't get away from Duckface. So I suppose it's just our fate, guys. I'm sorry. Hey Kevin, do you like the Owl House? Yes, I do. Are you going to compliment every single episode? It seems like it because it's just another good episode. Not much really happens, but the way it's done is just so likable, and the characters are so charismatic, and the jokes are legitimately fun. Like in this episode, they give a name to Ida's staff owl, like the little thing at the end, and his name is Albert. And that's just funny. That's just clever writing that I really enjoyed. And I don't know who wouldn't like that. I mean, granted, there are a lot of people that wouldn't like it because not everyone has the same taste, but it's just fun to me. And that's what this episode was, and that's what this show is. Not anything of too great importance happens. Like, Ida has, I guess, a gambling problem in this one. She's addicted to, like, this card game. That's name I don't remember. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it's the poker for witches, basically, and the cards come to life, and Ida's all about it. But she has to stop playing her game because her curse is coming back, and she's slowly turning into that owl monster from the other episode. I think it was the third episode. It wasn't the third episode. It was the fourth episode. That's probably wrong too, but it doesn't matter. So she's turning into that owl thing, and they're like, "Whoa, we gotta go get more of that potion." And they go to the shop. And in the other episode, I was really curious about like where she got this potion from. Does she make it? Her side hustle is making potions, so I just assumed she made her own stuff. But no, she has to go get it from this shop, and the guy who runs it is just some kid named Morton with like a I don't know, a funnel on his head, I guess. And that's fine. I just sort of thought there's a bit more mysticism behind where the potion came from. But no, she just goes, buys it at some shop. And then Morton's like, yeah, we don't have any more, so you're probably going to have to go to like the night market to get some. And Edom's like, all right, I mean, I guess if I gotta go to the night market, I'm gonna take King with me. Luz bumps into Willow and Gustavo, and they're like, hey, we're upset because Amity didn't invite us to her sleepover. She's having like a weird summoning circle at her place, and she didn't invite us because she's not our friend. And I didn't think that was that weird. Like, Amity has not really shown any sign that she's your friend. She's a classmate, sure, but she doesn't have to invite you to anything. At least I didn't when I was in school. Just because I knew someone doesn't mean I felt obligated to invite them. But they're all sad about it anyways, even though they're not her friend. But okay, sure. And then like, they're talking about how they've never gone to one of those summoning circle things because it's like a powerful moon night thing. It's like a weird moon eclipse thing that grants magical power for that one night. And if you go to these summoning circle things, you can like reanimate or just animate. It was never alive before. You can just animate this object. But that brings up a couple questions. Primarily, how can they use moon magic if they explained in the last episode that once you're part of a coven, you can only use magic that pertains to that coven? So I guess moon magic just applies to every coven then? Is it a different type of magic? Does it not come from within them? I guess they do kind of explain that it comes from the moon. It just didn't make sense to me. Like, everyone can use moon magic, but your coven just allows that? Okay. And then Luz is like, you know what, guys, just come over to my place. We'll do it there. We'll have a circle thing. And she makes a big assumption that the magic will actually work with her being a human, but whatever. She goes to Ida and she's like, hey, Ida, can we do this summoning circle thing at our place? And Ida's like, no. And Luz is like, but I want to. And Ida's like, still no. But then she just lies to her friends about it. She's like, yeah, Ida said we could do it. Yeah, let's do it anyways. And then Ida leaves the house and leaves Luz alone. And she has this very intense moment where she's like, hey, if you mess up my house, I'll never trust you again. And that was a bit intense. But okay, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? Turns out the worst that can happen is that they actually animate the house and bring it to life. They were supposed to do this doll, but then the whole house comes to life. And then it has this cool, like, Baba Yaga looking, like, chicken legs. I thought that was a nice touch. But that brings up another couple of interesting questions, because the show is either contradicting itself or not caring about its own, like, canon, or just playing it very loose with the rules of magic. The last one's probably the truest one. But so, like, they said that they can animate objects, But isn't the house already animated? Isn't it already alive? They have this line in the show where it's like, oh, the walls are breathing. The house is alive. So how can they animate it? How can they control it? It doesn't really make sense in this episode. Maybe it will in future episodes, but whatever. They take the house for a joyride and they start just prancing it through the city because that's a good idea. It's not like no one's going to notice that. They just start walking the house through the city and they're like, hey, let's go take this to Amity's place. And we're going to show her for not inviting us to her sleepover that she had no obligation to invite us to anyways. But whatever, just walk us through the city. No one's going to notice that. Turns out people do notice that because like some demon hunters show up and they're like, hey, yeah, that house shouldn't be walking, so we should just capture it, right? And then they do. They like shoot it down with ballista. Like they have this line which is like, hey, they're shooting at us with giant crossbows. Loose, they're called ballista, please. Any fan of fantasy would know that. No, they wouldn't. I'm just a dork for these sort of things. Why am I even talking? That's a dumb joke, Kevin. Cut it out. You won't. But the house gets captured and they get tied up. And then I guess the demon hunters are just evil because they decide to just push them off of a cliff. And if there wasn't a branch there, they would have died. Those guys just killed kids for a house. Cool. I just don't get how, like, and they're deliciously evil. And what I mean by that isn't that they taste good. It's that they take so much joy in the whole, yeah, we're killing kids thing. I really enjoyed that, much like they did. Not the killing kids bit, but how much fun they have killing kids. All the while, Ida's in the night market and she's dealing with like this little pig man to like get her potion. And then the guy's like, no, you can't afford it. So they make a bet. Ida loses it. And then she's like a sore loser. She's like, you know what? Forget you, guy. I'm just going to take it anyways. The guy chains her up and is like, hey, well, I'm just going to turn you in then because you're the owl lady and worth however many $1,000 million, not dollars, you are worth, because I don't think they use our currency. Thanks to Willow, the three of them are able to survive because she calls up a bunch of vines and like they send them on to the demon hunters. They fight off the vines and then they go grab the house. They run back to where they're supposed to be. So all's well that ends well, I guess. Close call. They can only use the magic while the moon is in the sky, so they have to try to hurry and get back to where the house was originally. Ida's about to be turned over to the Emperor's Coven, but then the witch owl house just like steps on that guy's shop because they walked it through the city and like, alright, cool. She's able to like get her potion. She gets set free. They get out of there. So they did technically steal from that guy. I know he's not a good dude. I know he hustled them with that card game. But ultimately, she didn't lose her bet, and she did steal from the guy. And he, like, vows revenge, so we'll probably see him trying to make them rue the day in another episode. I'm excited. So yeah, all's well that ends well. Like, Ida's a bit angry at Luz for taking the house, but ultimately she did save her, so she's like, alright, whatever. Just clean up the place, and then we'll call it even. We'll be square. And that's about it. They do hint that the only way they could have animated the house, they could have animated something of that size, is if they had an unbelievable, I don't want to say unbelievable, but if they had a massive amount of magical energy. And I guess it's implied that it's from Luz, but honestly, it's probably from Willow, right? She's unbelievably powerful with plant magic, and Gus hasn't really done anything impressive so far. I mean, it probably will be Luz, but in the meantime, in my headcanon, I'm just gonna assume it was Willow. Because Luz doesn't have that like inner magic sac thing. But who knows? Maybe humans have more potent magic ability. Maybe they have more latent magic ability than we know of yet. We'll see. I mean, I'm excited to see. And while they never actually got the owl house to make it all the way to Amity's place, I guess they did rub it in her face in a way because they have this like witch equivalent of Instagram. They call it like pentagram or something, Penstagram. And she sees a bunch of pictures of people like, whoa, this house is walking and it's amazing. And they're like, oh, I guess they are powerful magic users. I don't know where that's going to go. I don't know if the next episode's going to have her reacting to that. But I did think it was legitimately funny that during her sleepover scene, Amity is just like in the corner brooding. Like she's such an angsty teen. She's just brooding, staring at the window, pondering life or whatever. I just enjoyed it. That was fun. So like every episode before this one, and I'm sure many episodes ahead of this one, they really just drop a bunch of hints throughout. I'm assuming they want a somewhat long-running show, a somewhat long-running mystery, and I'm excited to see it. Now we know that Ida gets her potions from just like a shop, I guess. They made an enemy out of that pig man. They might have some sort of latent magic potency that we don't know yet, whether it's from Willow or Luce. There's no chance it's Gus, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is. Maybe there's something more to Gustavo that I'm just not seeing, but I'm excited to find out. We're going to see where this goes, and thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to watch other videos if you want. You don't have to. I'm not your boss or your dad. At least I hope I'm not your dad. Oh my God. Am I old enough to be? Be safe, guys. Have a great day.